Welcome back to the Good Talk here in studio. Today we have Danny Dapper.
What's up, Dapper Danny?
Dapper Danny. Oh, we got to correct me on that.
Say it however you want, but that's the,
Dapper Danny.
on my library card it would say. Do people still have library cards?
No, maybe.
I don't think so. I think mostly just homeless people go to the library nowadays.
Just sleep out there, yeah.
To use the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, because they got phones now, right? Which is crazy.
They have, you can plug in and you can use the internet, but that's its own thing.
But anyhow, welcome to the studio. What do you think of the studio?
Loving it. I think we were talking off camera for the past, 20 minutes about how, just all the details, it's simple yet elegant, it's a vibe.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get started with you telling us a little bit more about you, like who you are and where you're from, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. I go by Danny. Real name's Daniel. So if I'm in trouble, that's usually how I get it. I'm originally from Maryland. I grew up most of my life out there. Represent. That's a lot of the sports teams that I represent are from back home. Still represent the Ravens and Orioles and that kind of thing. I live in LA now. Moved from Maryland to Orange County, and then moved up to LA about 5 years ago. Kind of just met some. I was always it's hard to, that's such a deep question that I'm
hey man, that's what we want. We want to get into the deepness of Dapper Danny.
Okay. Well, that's the kind of the quick overview. From Maryland, moved to Orange County. I'm 38.
Okay.
I moved to Orange County when I was 19.
Oh wow!
And,
so that's you were really young.
Yeah, I mean, more or less, kind of fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
I had about a year out of high school, and I kind of didn't have a direction other than I was just kind of hanging out playing basketball as a pizza delivery driver at Pizza Hut early on.
Dude, I worked at Domino's too for my first job.
Yeah,
we were rivals.
Yeah, well, and I mean, this is so long ago that this is when Pizza Hut didn't really deliver. So it was kind of like I was one of the first ones of them even doing delivery and stuff.
Okay.
At least to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Again, it's
okay. So Maryland.
Maryland.
And then you grew up there. Mm-hmm. You were born in Maryland?
I was born in Maryland and did my first 19 years there. Yeah.
First 19 years.
And then my sister always wanted to get out of Maryland. I was always kind of content, whatever. I always I had the demeanor of like a golden retriever, just kind of happy and excited, kind of wherever I'm at. Type situation. But my sister always wanted to get out, and she's an artist, and she went to Laguna Beach. She went to the art school out there.
Before you did? Before
I did, yeah. She was always trying to leave, and she got as far away as she could, the complete opposite coast. And then it was the summertime, and her roommate was moving out. And like I said, I was just kind of chilling, comfortable, just going to work, being a pizza delivery driver, and then playing basketball. I got pretty good at basketball. I was kind of a street. It was around and one time. Were you
playing basketball in high school?
I played a little bit in high school, but I was always a better street baller than I was. Okay. Rules and that kind of thing were never really my refs with whistles. We call our own fouls and kind of have a little fun with it. But playing street ball, and then again, my sister's roommate moved out. And was kind of like, hey, do you want to come out for the summer?
To LA.
She lived in Dana Point, which is right next to Laguna Beach. Anyway, Orange County. And I was like, sure. Didn't really think about it too much. Told everybody from back home. I'm from a small town, super small town in Maryland. And I was like, sure, told everybody. Nobody really believed me. They're like, sure, yeah, you're going to California. Oh, you're going to, of course, because it was around the same time that the show Laguna Beach and the OC were on TV. So it was kind of like, that's what I knew about where I was going. I was going to the place that was on TV. And pack all my stuff in my car and drive across the country.
Was this the first time you came to California?
I had barely been outside of Maryland.
Wow.
I'd been to Virginia on a hike. I'd been to Pennsylvania to go to Hershey Park and the outlet, Jersey and Delaware. Never any state. I did I did Disney World when I was in like middle school. So there was that one time that I flew on a plane to get out, but everything was close within train's distance of where I lived. So yeah, it was kind of blind. And,
so you drove from Maryland
to California.
To OC, California.
Yeah, exactly. And
19-year-old Dapper Danny.
Yeah.
Were you dancing at that point?
I would say I've always been consumed by the beat. Like the beat comes on and I start kind of like, I can't help but move to it. And that's from the earliest story I can think of was when I was 2. My mom said that I climbed up on like the kitchen table and started like imitating Elvis Presley's like wiggle knee move. So I've always been consumed by the beat, you could say. But all my dancing before really, we're kind of jumping in a lot of different places, but
yeah, that's true. We are jumping. So let's go back to when you moved to OC.
Okay, so before I moved out, I had set up a job where my sister worked, was at the Montage, which is a really high-end resort in Laguna Beach. My sister worked at the spa, so I kind of had an in. So I, filled out an application, told them that I was coming, set up the interview. So I was kind of like in a race to get to the interview. So I drove across the country in like 4 days, which is like not much to stayed in Arkansas for a night. That's a story all in itself. Because I saw the worst of Arkansas. I didn't see the beautiful, the nature state that they call themselves. Spent a whole day driving through Texas. And then, it was more of an endurance. It was a sprint more so than I'm getting to see the country that I've never seen before. It was just kind of get there in a car without air conditioning.
Oh my God. Was it just you or was it?
My mom rode out with me. So she did ride out with me. Yeah. Now, to my recollection, she slept most of the time, but she was there. She was there to hang out. Again, that might just be how exactly. She drove some, but it was like 80-20. Anyway, she was there, moral support. But yeah, so I drove out, I do the job interview. And again, this is like a high-end resort. So I don't get the job right away. So I saved up like $2,000 my whole life. It was my life savings out in this small town. And I don't get the job right away. And it's depleting quickly. I'm like a month in, maybe 2-3 weeks in, and the money's starting to dissipate. So staying with my sister at the same time, her fiance had moved out with her, and my sister had lived out there before my fiance came out and before I had come out. He had only gotten there like 2 weeks before me, and he recommended, for me to kind of come. And him and I are social, and my sister can be social, but she's a little more reclusive. So there was this situation where him and I are trying to go out and befriend people and make friends, and she's not necessarily into the more party and social scene, kind of being an artist. So long story short, there ended up being a separation there, and between them, he went in his own way, and I was still staying in the house. Around that same time, her roommate is moving back in. I'm staying in the roommate's room. So I have to get all my stuff out of her room, and I'm staying on the couch. I still hadn't had this job yet. So I'm like, kind of the world's kind of crashing.
Welcome to California.
I'm ready to move. I'm ready to go back home. Really? I had done my summer trip, but I don't have enough money to move back. So I'm kind of chilling. I walk through, at this time, I think there was a slight hip hop / preppy type style. So I'm walking through a mall in Orange County, and I got like a popped collar on. And I walk into Abercrombie and Fitch, and they basically hire me on the spot.
You were the guy they were looking for.
And I don't even at the time, I don't wear Abercrombie and Fitch. Everything I'm wearing is like baggy and black. And they don't even sell like black articles of clothing. Like navy blue is as close as they go. So you got the job. So I got the job. I'm working there, folding clothes. I'm an Abercrombie and Fitch model, but basically I fold clothes and spray perfume on people and flirt with girls is really what my job title is. And then all this while, I'm sleeping on the couch at my sister's place. All my stuff is out in the living room. Yeah. Rent's about to come around, and my sister comes to me and she's like, I'm gonna need 1/3 of the rent. And I'm like, that's not really fair. Like, I'm sleeping on the couch. I don't have a room to pay 1/3 of the rent, and I don't have a job yet. So she kind of gives me the ultimatum. You can either pay me 1/3 of the rent, and I think I had like $200 or $300 to give to her. She's like, or you can be out in a week. Yeah. Now I think there was still some animosity because I was friends with her fiance. You know, there's a deeper story there.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the book. But but yeah. So anyway, I'm sleeping on the couch, and at the same time I'm sleeping on the couch, I call back from the Montage and the nice resort, and I get another interview, and I get the job. And
okay.
I get the job to be a valet driver. So my sister gives me the ultimatum. I get the job at the Montage. All these things happen. I'm being social with a friend, and I'm telling him my situation. And he's like, hey, if it comes down to it, you can crash on the couch at my place. And I was like, I hope you mean that, because I might really need to. I end up crashing on his couch, getting the job at the Montage, leaving my sister's place. And, you know, we all end up, long story short, getting a place together, and that job works out. I'm making decent money because I'm getting tips. I'm driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris. And all of a sudden, like, the vision of California is kind of like real. You know, it's like where I came from, you would see Acura Integras with like body kits that weren't painted with like mismatching rims. And you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And now I'm driving Aston Martins and Eleanor from Gone in 60 Seconds, you know? So it's like this, and, you know, I'm with people that resonate with me. You know, I'm since cool with my sister, but we didn't always get along growing up. Yeah. So, but I'm finding these people that like are, you know, they're from different places across the country too. And, you know, I'm getting that feel for Southern California. I'm making money. I, you know, get myself a car, move into another place. And, you know, I was in Orange County for 13 years. So Orange County is more of a, you know, has a lot more than LA. I just lived a lot more life, I guess you could say, in LA in a shorter amount of time.
So would you consider Orange County kind of home in a sense?
You know, I think home is where you feel. Maryland is home. Mm-hmm. You know, the original home. But I felt very comfortable in Orange County for a long time. But I got to a point. I think home is where you feel comfortable at a certain point in your life. You know, where a place resonates and speaks to you. I didn't know what California was going to be before I came out here. It just wound up that it was the right place for me at the right time. I let the universe kind of just take me there. It went with the current, and the current brought me out here. So Orange County was dope. It was just a different chapter of my life. At that time, I always danced. You know, I was very inspired by, you know, MTV and 106 in Park, Missy Elliott videos, and Usher. You know, I was trying to learn how to do the Dougie and hit the Quan and like hit the reject and do the jerk. I was doing all that stuff. You know, whatever I saw on TV, I was trying to imitate. And, you know, I was always with a group of friends. I was the dancer, but there weren't other dancers. It was just me. Maybe one other guy kind of danced, but it wasn't like I wasn't around a community of dancers. Right. And then, you know, I was going to music festivals with my friends. So I was kind of finding, you know, I was networking a little bit more. This is around 2015, 2016 when I kind of started getting into music festivals.
2015, 2016, you started getting into music festivals.
Yes.
But you were already kind of dancing. But not taking it serious.
I was dancing in the sense of everybody always kind of validated me, that like told me I was a good dancer. Okay. Like I always had rhythm, but I was never structured as a dancer. I would, you know, I spent a long time teaching myself how to Dougie. I didn't have anybody to teach me how to Dougie. Yeah. So, but you know, once I kind of figured out the way, you know, spent time in the mirror, you know, kind of perfecting it. So again, I always danced with whatever resonated with me. As far as shuffling, I'd known about shuffling since, you know, the early 2000s, like not even the 2010s when it was big with, you know, 2012 with LMFAO and all that kind of stuff, which I guess that was probably 2000, whatever that was. I actually used to party with LMFAO back in the day before they came out with Every Day I'm Shuffling, when it was just like, we're in Miami, bitch. Yeah. My girlfriend at the time's brother was dating one of the Party Rock crew. So we used to go to Dre's, you know, the W in Hollywood. We used to go to these spots and hang out with LMFAO. Now at the time, I've always had a running man because I've been doing it ever since like Vanilla Ice. Mm-hmm. You know, that routine and that hip hop running man. But Anyway, I noticed shuffling, but I didn't resonate with the music. Like it was
with like house music.
Well, it wasn't. They weren't shuffling to house. When I saw shuffling, it was like hard style with big pants.
Oh, okay.
Which nowadays I would wear. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Like because I'm part. I like the culture and respect the culture.
So was that the first time you saw shuffling and kind of got interested in learning how to shuffle?
No,
more?
that was when I saw it, and I remember having the thought, I love the way this dance looks. If I was doing it to music that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was way more hip hop, Wu-Tang, classic rock, that kind of style of music. So even then, you don't shuffle to hip hop. You can, once you get to a level, but that's not the style of dance you do to classic rock or hip hop.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm in Orange County. I'm going to these festivals, and I'm kind of learning the culture. At the same time, I'm also learning how to be myself. When you're from a small town, there's a lot of conforming with what's around you. You don't want to shine too bright in a small town because then people will look at you like you're this weirdo. Now I'm going to these music festivals where you're embraced for being unique mm-hmm. and shining your light and having letting your freak flag fly, as they say. And it starts to speak to me more. And as I'm going to more of these shows, I start to notice the shufflers in the back, and all of a sudden the dance style that I thought was cool is aligning with the music that I'm starting to get into. It was really Claude Von Stroke and Dirty Bird is really kind of what got me into the scene. Going to Dirty Bird Campout was when I kind of first really let my freak flag fly. I was listening to like Rusko and like more like dubstep kind of stuff. Benga, like Scream, those kind of dubstep. And then Claude Von Stroke comes on my Pandora station, and I'm like, what is this?
Who's this?
It's Who's Afraid of Detroit, and it's got all these kind of funky, weird, like just random sounds that they're sneaking in there. And it's funky, and there's a repetitive bass line, which again, the beat consumes me. If there's a repetitive bass line, I can't help it, but dance to it. So getting in the scene, doing the shuffle, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to 2018, I go to Crossed.
San Diego?
San Diego, exactly. Cross Music Festival. And at this time, I had seen shufflers, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I could dance, I had rhythm, but I was mixing shuffling. We'll call shuffling Melbourne shuffling just for the sake of explaining what I'm thinking about when I say shuffling. I was doing other dance styles at that time that like Koningen dance, which is like a Dutch shuffle, they kind of call it. And it's more of like a bouncy kick forward, kick back kind of style. It's similar to shuffling, but it's not Melbourne shuffling. So I was kind of blending that with all my hip hop styles and doing the Running Man and this kind of Running Man, the trendy one. Like, so I'm doing that, and I noticed the shufflers. I don't necessarily go over because there's this kind of like closed offness to the shuffle scene. At least at that time, it was kind of techno city steps. Anyway, long story short. My friend Jolie notices me. I didn't know her at the time, but she notices me and validated and said, like, I like your shuffle. She saw me, as you say. Fast forward to Desert Hearts, which is like my favorite, like Dirty Bird Campout, like Dirty Bird Records. Desert Hearts is like this boutique festival that really spoke to me. They're about fashion and love and house music and techno and one stage, one vibe. There are no VIPs. Everybody's the same. You want to go. Anyway, my vibe. I run into Jolie there again, and we have a little more time to kind of like kind of hang out and get to know each other, and got her information. And she started to, she was very well connected in the community. She knew everybody. She knew the styles. She was my liaison into the scene, so to speak.
The shuffle scene.
The shuffle scene, but really any dancers. Because again, I'd always been a dancer, but it was kind of like I dance off to the side and hope people notice me instead of going out and trying to perform, so to speak. So Jolie almost forcibly grabs my hand and pulls me up to LA to go to a Van Secco shuffle class.
Was this your first class?
My first class, still, even to this day, I don't necessarily go to a lot of classes, but it was my first shuffle class. And so many people that, I'm good friends with and a part of the community, I met that very same day.
What year was this?
I want to say 2019.
Okay.
2019. I don't know exactly what date, but the dates will make sense as I start to tell more of it. So at this spot, I meet other people that are learning how to shuffle, that have that same passion that I do. Around the same time, I'm still going to more shows, and I'm driving from Orange County to LA 2 to 3 times a week, going to Sound Nightclub, going to Academy Patio for Day Trip. Before Day Trip is this big thing, it's this starter party that it's free to get in if you show up before 2. So I'm racing to get to LA before 2 every Sunday. I go from playing basketball and beach volleyball as my main passion to I'm sacrificing my Sundays of playing beach volleyball all day on Laguna Beach for going up to LA to these dance parties, because again, I'm starting to find myself as far as the fashion that I like. I'm starting to find myself as far as I'm practicing these dance moves now. And I kind of get this dream of I kind of want to live in LA now. I think I'm driving up there so much, I should just be up there so I don't have to take an hour drive. The same time that I went to that Van Secco dance class that Jolie took me up there, I had met a lot of people, and we had this idea of a shuffle mansion, whereas all of us kind of move into this place and, with a similar passion, kind of like they do the influencer houses, but it didn't seem as corny. No offense to anybody. But 16 people went down to 8 people, went down to 4 people, went down to 2 people. And all of a sudden it's me and my buddy Adrian, who at the time we weren't that connected. Like, we had known each other through the scene, but hadn't even really ever had any deep conversations before. We had just
hold on. So you had 16 people for this mansion?
I mean, in the idea of, oh, that's cool. Not seriously.
Oh,
16.
okay.
Yeah. We say
I thought
16
you had
is
16 people ready and that they flaked.
2 is what we got. 16 was down. And 16, I'm just throwing out a number. To,
okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but we had at least 8 to 10 people.
Like,
that
in
were
your
interested.
head, you're like, let's get a house.
Let's get a
full
house.
Of let's 8 people.
Yeah, because we're all hanging out and doing all this stuff
Dancing,
all the time anyway.
Dancers, shufflers, same passion.
Exactly. It probably worked out in the best result, because the more roommates you have, the more difficult things are. There's just no way around that. So anyway, Adrian and I end up linking up, and we both bring in friends into this situation that also want to move to LA. We find this house, and we move in. I almost bailed out because I was staying with a buddy and I was going to try and stay, but again, universe works in its own way, and we end up going through with it, and we move into. I move up to LA. You pay attention to the date, in the end of February 2020. So I don't know if anything that happened around that time.
2020, huh?
Yeah,
End of
February 2020 is when I decided.
Real hard, man.
When I decided to move to LA to be social and start going to these parties and start hanging out with the community. It was the perfect time.
Perfect time.
But again, the universe works in it. It kind of was. So we move up, and I think I get to go to one more Crossed, and it was that infamous 2019 Crossed where there was a guy who got COVID in Italy and was at Cross. So it was a confirmed case of Cross. So we already knew that we were exposed to. He also went to Spin Nightclub, which I went to as the after. So it was like, we had heard about it, but it wasn't real. And then all of a sudden, within a month, it was very real. And, we're locked down. We're quarantined. But I was lucky because I got quarantined with 3 other people that had similar interests to me, that were kind of into dancing, or at least into the scene. And, we had each other. So it wasn't as isolating, because these were still new people and still kind of people that you're learning to live with and
So
stuff.
you moved into this house,
I moved into this house, yeah.
and it was you and 3 other people.
Me and 3 other people. So me, my buddy Adrian goes by the Suited Shuffler.
Suited Shuffler, yeah, I know him.
Journey, our friend Journey.
I know Journey.
You know Journey. And then our buddy Storm. So Journey was Adrian's friend that he had brought over. I had met her at Dirty Bird Campout.
Okay.
Like that same year. So she came into the Dapper Danny dance floor.
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And my buddy Storm, who I also met through the Dapper Danny dance floor at Desert Hearts that same year that I met Jolie. So again, these festivals are kind of paramount to forming a lot of self-expression, me finding myself, but also finding my community. So we're living there, we're in the pandemic, and I'm starting to, right before I start moving up there, I'm starting to actively try and teach myself how to shuffle. Like I'm looking at tutorials, I'm inspired by people like Tupool and T-Mac and Elena Cruz, E Cruisin', and I'm seeing these people, my buddy Amir, I Am Long, I'm seeing all these people online, and they're doing the dance style like I like, especially Tupool and T-Mac were kind of like the 2 people whose style really resonated with me. Tupool because he's a white dude that wears high tops, and is got like this saucy style. And then T-Mac because you can tell he's shuffling, but he's more of a dancer. He's doing some shuffling moves, but he's got this incredible rhythm and smoothness to him.
That's exactly how I think when I see you dance. Like what you just said right now, because you're shuffling too, but you're just so smooth and so flowy when you're moving. So I think that's the best way to phrase how you move.
Yeah, it's some people do moves to the beat. Other people dance to the beat and do moves. So it's like there are different kinds of dancers, but when somebody is dancing authentically without thinking about trying to do it for other people, when they're dancing for themselves, you can see it. Not only can you see it, if you're next to somebody, you can feel it. Mizu, our buddy Mizu, he made a post about somebody kind of coming over and interrupting him as he was dancing. And he did 2 videos. One was the acceptable way, and the other one was the less acceptable way. And my point that I told to him was like, I think people are pulled in like a moth to a flame to the energy that you're radiating when you're dancing in this flow state, this pure bliss, this kind of natural state that you're in. People are drawn to it, and not everybody is considerate. They might be naive they don't realize that they're being rude by coming up and interrupting you and kind of invading this private moment that you're having in public. And it's naivete. And I think if they knew, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. The other video is of this lady doing it, but is kind of like hyping him up and didn't realize they were in the way, but they were reflecting the energy back to him. They were giving him the validation of, I love what you're doing. I apologize for getting in the way. Whereas the other girl interrupted him, like kind of got in his way and tried to make it about her. Like, I can dance too. And then doesn't engage with him. So again, it's just a different kind of energy. Got on a tangent there. Talking about Tupool and team. So I'm starting to be influenced. I'm trying to learn and curate my own style. Learn these dance moves. I remember studying the cowtail forever. Trying to incorporate that in with seeing people do Cali style Running Man and again, I've got the evolution of everyone's right. If you shuffle, your Running Man looks so much different, and it changes. It's a style thing. It's like there is no right or wrong way. It's just so many different ways that you learn. It's like drinking coffee. At first, you put a whole bunch of creamer and sugar in it to make it taste so sweet to where you're masking the coffee until you get to a point where now you're drinking it black and you appreciate the flavors of it. You become more of a purist. So it's kind of learning along the way, and you kind of like respect the community as you go on, and you start looking into the history, and we'll get into more about the passion and about people trying to decide what is the right way, what isn't the right way, and who's allowed to teach. And maybe we won't get into that. But so I'm teaching myself how to shuffle off through like YouTube videos and Instagram, saving videos, trying to break it down. But that's not really how I learn. I learned from music videos and stuff and trying to practice. But what I started to learn is, even though we were kind of quarantined off, we were also healthy people that, were trying to responsibly still be social. So I started hosting these vibe outs, and it was around the same time of there was not just the pandemic, but there was this racial divide, this inequality, this anger with the police. There was so many other things going on that I kind of wanted to just have this vent, this relief of all of us being able to kind of dance and still be together. But I would host it outside to where we could still be, we didn't know what was right and what was wrong. A lot of people didn't even think you could be outside together. So it's, a lot of people.
Crazy times.
Crazy times. And everybody
yes.
has their own opinion and wants to, but anyway, we started getting together and started, having these vibe outs, we called them. And we would get together and it would just be, I don't know, it felt natural. Like it felt, but what I learned along the way is the best way to learn any kind of dance style, really anything, is to associate yourself with the community. I had always been a groovy, decent dancer, but it wasn't until I got with the shuffle community that I learned how to shuffle. Again, the LA Shuffle Squad kind of got formed right at that same time, right at Van Secco's class. She was kind of the head of it because she was the teacher, but it kind of grew to something more than just her being, her class. It grew to a community where we're all, we've got a group chat and we're talking to each other and we're confiding in each other. I felt more comfortable with these people than I felt with my family, with my friends, with, even though Maryland is my home, this was my home. Yeah. This was where I felt comfortable being vulnerable, where I got acknowledged for dressing and coordinating outfits and being bright and shining as opposed to chastised for like, why would you wear that? It was, I love that. I was learning how to, be myself, shine my light kind of thing. And also learned how to, instead of, a lot of the dance community kind of has their arms crossed and might not hype you up. But this was a scene where, it didn't matter what level of dancing you were. We were hyping you up. We were, as long as you took it seriously and you were trying, we love what you're doing. I love that. Like keep going. And you can see people get better.
Oh yeah.
With that. And you're a perfect example of that. I watched you get so much better at dancing and it was because being around the community and, you're a part of these stories that I'm telling. You came in as the pandemic started easing up is when you started coming in.
That's true.
And
that's when I got into shuffling, dancing, and started getting into the community and going to a few classes, meeting a lot of different people in the shuffling community. Started collaborating with people, and you're right. Learning how to shuffle is way better when you're around the people that are doing it. Yeah, because I tried learning like with videos, with YouTube videos, and there's no way, dude.
Everybody starts out that way, and then I feel blessed to have been close enough to the community that I could come to a place like LA or in Orange County. Orange County doesn't really have too much. There's my friend Jenna is kind of doing classes down there, and there, there's a few people down there that are kind of part of the community. But San Diego is starting to have a big community. You're starting to notice these places are growing where it's easier to find places to go. Because before, I always kind of compare shuffling to it's like a lot of people that kind of have this ownership over it. It feels like shuffling is kind of like liking a band for their first album. They come out with this album and you resonate with it right away. You know all the songs, you make part of your identity this band. We'll say like a My Chemical Romance or something like that, just whatever. So you put your identity with that band. That is part of my identity. And then My Chemical Romance or whatever fill in the blank band comes in and comes out with another album and it becomes mainstream and everybody likes My Chemical Romance or fill in the band. I don't know why I keep saying the name. and everybody likes them. And it's like, no, that's my band. I liked them before you knew who they were. That's mine, because you have this entitlement, because we go way back. We have this deep friendship. And now you're trying to act like you don't even know the last album they came out with. You're just listening to. So there's this entitlement and this need to almost try and tell people that they have to go through, they have to pay their dues before they can come in and do all this stuff. And I understand it. Like you all these things that you see other people do. We're all human. We all get the same urge. We feel rage. We feel anger. We feel jealousy. We feel entitlement. We feel like what we do is right and what they do is wrong. We all have elements of that, but it's about kind of looking at it from both sides and understanding, if they don't do it right, try and help them out to do it right. And if they don't ask for your advice, don't push it on them. If they think that this dancer is the right dancer to learn from and that they resonate with their style, it doesn't matter how long that person put in time. That's the style that they resonate with. That's the person that they like. And again, I'm kind of going on tangents and stuff here, but
I love the tangents.
Yeah. It's just, I hold the shuffle community so dear to me because and the festival kind of rave culture, because it really has allowed me to kind of find my authentic self.
Yeah.
I've always been myself, but I've always been a performer, and that's why I feel comfortable in front. Like I don't have any anxiety. Like I feel comfortable. They tell me to go out and dance on stage. I don't really think about it because I've been performing my whole life. Just not everybody's been watching. Like I in the mirror when I'm dancing, I'm pretending that there's somebody. If I'm going and I'm playing basketball myself, I'm shooting around, I'm pretending there's somebody watching me. So I'm trying to do. So it's not this kind of look at me thing. It's that I always kind of have that mentality of the life is a performance. So then when it's time to perform, just like you preparing notes, just like you doing anything, the more you prepare, the more you practice for something, the more comfortable you are as you do it. So performing kind of came naturally to me. And I'm a dancer, but I also like to sing. I also like to do comedy. I also like to be competitive in sports. I like talking.
You do comedy.
I would say I'm usually one of the funnier people in the room, at least based off of the response that I get. But it's one of the things that kind of, my favorite show growing up was like, Whose Lines is it anyway?
Okay.
Like it's been that kind of thing that I talk about having a passion for, but not putting any energy to. It's like,
I think you'd be great at comedy.
And so that's the response I always get. That's why I have the validation of like, I want to, but regardless of whether I had that validation, I would want to do it. But I haven't put the energy in, we talk about practicing and you feeling comfortable. I haven't put in the time to write the jokes. I can stand in front of 5 people and talk to them and get them to laugh just through conversation. But there's the commitment and consistency, of going up and failing. Like I have to go up on stage and do open mics. Yeah. Could I be really good at it? Yes. But do I, I was always a good dancer, but I wasn't always a great shuffler.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot of time and practice and going with the community. So I want to do comedy. And that's why, here's your breaking news. I'm actually about to move away from LA.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Dapper Danny, breaking news.
Yeah. I mean, some people know I haven't really I didn't want to make like some kind of big Instagram post of like, been in LA for 5 years, California. Like I'm not trying to look for some kind of, grand thing. I'll have a going away party, that kind of thing. And
I better be invited to this going away party.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, again, it'll probably be reminiscent of one of those vibe outs. I used to, it started out as a vibe out and then I turned it into this thing I called Something Cool Sundays. Okay. So on Sundays I would, it was down in Laguna Beach, which is again, even though I live in LA, I talk about it as Orange County home. Orange County isn't necessarily home. I was there for a long time. So, I mean, everything South County, Laguna Beach. I didn't live in Laguna, but I was always there. Dana Point, San Clemente, San Juan Capistrano, Irvine, Tustin, like all these, Laguna Niguel, all these places I lived, I bounced around from year to year in Orange County, Mission Viejo. I lived in all these places. year to year. Not a whole lot of stability when I look at my whole life, as far as I've only lived certain places, maybe only 2 to 3 years at a time.
Wow.
Which has allowed me to be adaptable and independent and a lot of these other things. So you look at everything with, with duality, but yeah, so Laguna Beach is kind of like this beautiful place that's always resonated with me, especially like I said, I gave up playing beach volleyball to come up and do this dance thing.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so let's go back to that time, 2020. Let's say even 2021 after COVID, right?
okay.
Was there a point where you thought maybe you wanted to take like shuffling, dancing more serious and make that a career?
I've never really had like this dream of being a professional dancer or having a career as a shuffler. I mean, there's been, as things have popped up, that's, crept into my mind. But I was always worried about it being this kind of thing, like a passion that I make a job and I lose the passion for it. So I was always kind of cognizant of I don't want to ruin this thing that is so pure and beautiful to me, that brings me so much joy. I don't want to.
You don't want to see it as like a job or one of those things where like I have to do it.
Yeah, well, it's like having a best friend and then getting into a relationship with them. Well, you might ruin that best friendship that you have, even though the promise of what could be with the relationship. So it's a gamble that you take.
Okay, that's I mean, very respectable.
Yeah. But I have looked at it and thought about it, but it wasn't a conscious thought of I'm going to practice to be this. It was just I was inspired by all these dancers. I was inspired by, yeah, it's fun to go to a rave or go to a festival and stand in the back and have people hype you up. And, there's this feeling, again, when I talk about performing, dancing and karaoke especially, I think is probably like the most validation I get as far as like, just to kind of like perform and where you get that instant response where people are like, I can see bringing energy to somebody just by being myself, like performing and entertaining. Like it that's why I want to do comedy, is I see that in stand-up comedy is taking those risks, being able to connect with somebody, especially through words. With dancing, it was always kind of natural for me. It was never really, even, you talk about being a professional dancer. I realize I'm a professional shuffler now.
Yeah.
If I stop and think about it, I've been paid to do it. I go and I don't tell people I'm a professional shuffler. I might tell them I'm a dancer and then explain I do shuffling. And a lot of people don't even know what that is, at least the people that I talk to. So it's kind of just this byproduct of being in the community and having a passion for it that I've found opportunities to do it. Even like doing ads and stuff and sponsored content.
Yeah.
I don't really do a lot of that stuff because it almost feels, I don't want to say like selling out, but it feels wrong to me. It shouldn't. Like truthfully, like I do it every now and again, but I have to believe in what I'm selling.
Sure.
I can't just sell something that's paying me without actually believing in the product.
Like, hey, Dapper Danny, can you do a dance video and show our little plant?
I'm not gonna make examples to not point anybody out.
Sure.
But there are certain things that pay you that maybe you don't feel aligned with.
Yeah.
But
and again, man, that's very respectable for me.
Yeah, and I respect the people that do it. I'm not saying what I'm doing is right. That's just how I feel. And truthfully, it's probably held me back, but at the same time, it's made my conscience clean. So there's not this, I'm very cognizant of the energy I give. That's why I've always been kind of a little, passive on trying to be a professional dancer or trying to do these things, is because I try not to make plans for future self. I try not to make plans with present self for future self, because I don't know how I'm going to feel in the future. And I don't want to let you down, because I'm like, even today, like, scheduling the podcast and everything. Like, I don't want to tell you, I'd rather give you a heads up, like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Let's try and figure this out, as opposed to just letting you down.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of flexibility of, I don't want to be flaky, but I also don't want to guilt myself into doing something that maybe I don't feel up to at the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was just kind of this thing where I'm surrounded by the community. Everybody, all my friends are shufflers. So it's easy to do it. And truthfully, the community is what really did it for me. But when I talk about becoming a shuffler instead of a dancer, I got to shout out the homie Shoj, Josh, who ran the FTS studio, the Flow Complex. Jolie took me there early on. And again, I have that kind of golden retriever mentality, whereas I don't think about am I dancing the right way? Am I doing shuffling? Am I cutting shapes? Am I Conagen dance? Am I free stepping? I just dance how I feel the music. And we go to the Flow Complex at the time, the FTS studio. And again, this is a place where a lot of people, there's this idea of, we always talk like arms crossed, like you don't dance like me, where it's kind of like, but I never felt that because again, I am a shuffler. I'm part of the community, but I never call myself a shuffler because I like all dance styles. I like to be influenced. I feel a lot of people kind of box themselves in when they call themselves this or that, because then words are so powerful. And when you call yourself something, you open yourself up to criticism, to whether people feel like you are that or aren't, whether they're entitled to those opinions or not, they're going to give them to you. So I've kind of dodged a lot of bullets by, you look at my page on Instagram, it doesn't even say anything about dancing. I don't call myself a dancer. I'm just me.
Yeah.
Is every video of me dancing? 90%, 95%. Yeah. So you can draw your own conclusion of what you want to call me and what box you want to put me in. But anyway, early on, I went to this studio and I felt, kind of comfortable, even though I didn't necessarily dance like a true shuffler. But being around them, I grew more respect and understanding of the community. I started to understand the nuance. I started drinking my coffee black.
Wow.
I started
taking out the milk.
No
sugar.
I started appreciating, this is Moss. This is Cali style. This is Melbourne shuffling. This is, I started appreciating the nuances of the style of shuffling instead of, to me, and this is all based off of opinion, and there's a lot of heated debate. I believe cutting shapes is its own thing, and I believe that shuffling, Melbourne shuffling, Cali style, Moss, is its own thing. It all falls under, festival dancing, rave dancing, whatever you want to call it. But I believe each is their own thing in its own right. So I respect learning each one of them in their own arena, so to speak. So I'm going to the studio and they're open every Sunday. And I go, I'm 20 minutes away now. I live in LA. So I'm going like every Sunday. I started putting in the work. Now, it wasn't work because I was having fun. I was hanging out with the community, kind of learning about the culture, making friends. But I'm also being inspired again. My style is starting to be influenced and changed by the people that I'm next to. I start realizing, I got to lead with my heel if I want to do a Moss running man. This is how you do the Moss T-step. This is how you do. I started learning the styles from people who had been doing it for 15 years. Also, the way that Jolie was so crucial to pulling me into the community shows Josh was paramount. I think he is one of the best people. Kento Baby, I'll throw in there too, as far as just the best people, whereas they don't care how good you are. They treat you the same, whether you've been shuffling for 20 years and are the best one, or whether you don't really know what you're doing, but you're trying. He treats everybody with the same amount of kindness and welcoming energy. And he was a pillar in the shuffle community, and especially for me. I'm honored to call him a good friend now. But yeah, going to that Flow Complex, the FTS studio, I became a shuffler. I started to understand. I wasn't just me doing a running man anymore. It was me understanding a T-step, me understanding, this style versus that style, understanding combos, even though I'm still not a combo guy. I learned a lot there. And that's kind of what leads us up into, the video that kind of went big is
let's talk about this video.
I started learning how to shuffle with the Flow Complex. And again, opportunities are starting to open up. My buddy Adrian offers me this opportunity to go to Groove Cruise, which is this music festival that is on a cruise ship. And I was going to get to go for free. I knew a lot of the DJs already, kind of from being in the scene and everything. So this was going to be this great networking opportunity. We'll get into it, I guess, with it. But I have, I was planning on taking my velvet ropes with me, the Dapper Danny dance floor, and I was going to kind of network. And I always thought that was going to be the thing that caught on. That was going to be the thing that people knew me for, was that and it is in some
the VIP dance floor.
Yeah, there's
let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what made you come up with this VIP dance floor? Because you bring these ropes along with you, and then they're red velvet ropes.
It is a portable VIP dance section. It's
dance section.
When I say dance floor, people think that I put a floor down, but that's too hard to do. So I just bring stanchions with me. I bring, and it's been an evolution. I've been doing it now for probably like 6 years or so.
Yeah.
I'd have to go. I want to say that Desert Hearts. Actually,
wow,
that 2019 Desert Hearts
really
especially
impacted your life.
Especially the 2019 Desert Hearts, because that's where I met Storm, one of the roommates, and that's where he met me through having this dance floor. So anyway, I'll go into the story. Getting into the scene, and I'm hanging out with my friends Daniel and Paige, who actually officiated their wedding. So I lived with them for a little while there. Who I moved out of their house and up to LA. So they were my best friends down in Orange County, and are still great friends. And we're going to Desert Hearts this year together.
Oh, nice.
Again, like we went last year, and like we go all year. So anyway, we're going to all these things, and I don't remember exactly what the occasion was, but we went down to Spin nightclub, and it's probably a Dirty Bird type of person that's playing, and we're hanging out, and we're upstairs at Spin nightclub, and if you're looking at the stage from over the balcony, there's this section off to the right, and it's kind of this little corner before you can go outside, and there's a light that's shining down in this corner, and off to the side, I see this stanchion, and it's just 2 stanchions and a red rope. It's just one little setup. And this idea pops in my head, and I go over and I grab the stanchion and I section off the corner. And I go in there and I start dancing. I got the spotlight on me, and I got the red ropes blocking me off. And like, my buddy is cracking up. And like, I'm looking around, he records a video. I don't know if I still have that video.
Yeah, is there a video of this?
There might still be a video of it. I'm sure we could find it. We might just have to dig through social media or my phone. But yeah, so anyway, and he's dying laughing, and people are like responding to it. And, afterwards, as I'm looking at this video, I start thinking, what if I actually brought my own ropes with me and had my own section? Because again, when you're dancing, it's part of it is absolutely silly and ridiculous. Like, people don't understand what it is. I go up and I set these velvet ropes up, and they're like, what the hell is this thing? And, you got to play the part. It's like, are you on the list? And they're like, what? And at that point, either they get it or they don't. And either way, I'm still going to play and have fun. I go, are you on the list? And I check my fake list. Mm-hmm. And then people are either like, oh, yeah, I'm on the list. I know. Well, who do you know? And I start kind of clowning around with them, having fun. And then other people are like, what do you, I just want to go in there and dance. And I'm sorry, we're at maximum occupancy right now. Come back in 15 minutes. The owner's kind of a dick, but I'll see what I can do for you. Like, playing the part. And, so I like brainstorming of how I can do this, because you'll notice I'm not worried about patenting the idea, because you'll notice it's not easy to do. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, I'll just bring some stanchions with me. And then you realize
you gotta bring those things with you everywhere you go.
When I took it to Desert Hearts, it was a pain in the ass. Yeah. I had to have one of those Costco wheel things. I had and I threw everything in there. It would take me 20 minutes to set it up, and 10 minutes to set it up, 20 minutes to take it down. And the problem is like, when you're at a music festival, your attention span is all over the place. So it became this anchor, that it was like a child. You love it, but it also prevents you from going out and having a weekend to yourself.
Because you also have to stay there. If you're setting it up, you can't just leave it.
It's an anchor. Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to steal it because it's a pain in the ass. But so anyway, it was this thing that needed to be refined. But in setting it up, that's how I met Storm, one of our roommates in LA. is I had it set up in the middle of the dance floor. I had it ended up, after the idea, I spent like a month trying to create it. So I went and got these traffic cones, like just the poles, not an actual cone, the poles. And I stole like 4 of them. I think I'm out of the statute of limitation. I think I'm out of that now.
I think you're good.
Yeah, they'll never catch me. I got 4 of those and I spray painted them gold. And then I went on Amazon and I ordered red rope and little handles. And I at the time I also had this LED dry erase board sign that lit up, so I could write Dapper Danny Dance Floor on there, and I had an artist come and write all kinds of crazy things on there. So it was like this advertisement, this sign. So with that, I had to have all this weight to hold these poles up. It was just impractical. It was tough to do. But I set up in the middle of the dance floor, and people are walking by, and they're, whatever they're on at a festival, and they're just like, "What is this?" And I start playing the part, and my Storm ends up coming over, and he's like, what the hell is this? And I play the thing, and he's like, "Oh, I'm on the list. I'm on the list." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, we're at max." He's like, "What if I blow your mind right now?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry. A lot of people say that." And as he's doing that, as I'm giving him the business, he opens up this 4-foot fan. Love the alliteration of that, by the way, 4-foot fan. So he opens it up, and it's whap. He gives the most massive fan flap that you've ever heard. And mid-sentence, I go, "Right this way, sir." And I let him into the dance floor, and like, luckily, because again, a lot of festival stuff, it's hard to, luckily my friends got his information, and we end up connecting, through the friends. And he ended up being the roommate and a good friend for a long time. And yeah, so that's how we met, through that dance floor. And over the years, I've refined it to where now it's a backpack. Because I've tried.
It's a backpack now.
I get that was when I was saying I was texting before I was coming in here. It's because I have a friend who's throwing this party, and he wants me to bring it out and do a thing with it. I started working festivals at the same time that I'm getting into shuffling. The dream when I moved to LA was not to be famous or rich or anything. I don't care about any of that, really. It was more to entertain, to perform, to kind of shine my light kind of thing, as I keep saying. And I felt so comfortable with these music festivals that I started performing at these music festivals, and I started getting noticed. So I went to a friend Alana of mine gave me like a free ticket to Dirty Bird Campin'. Maybe 2022 or 2021. Anyway, whatever it was. And had a great time. And when I was there, it was the first time that I had gotten my dance floor. At this time, it was still in a duffel bag. It looked like I was carrying a dead body around. Still inconvenient, still a pain in the ass, but I had refined it a little bit. This was 2.0. We're at like 5.0 now. So we go on, it's got to be the right vibe. You don't set a time to set it up. It's just like you're feeling it. So anyway, I set it up, and I'm hanging out with my buddy who's a great DJ, Kevin Knapp, and I get him to come out, and I set it up, and it's like towards the end of the music festival, and I knew there's this great group called the Instigate, or the Fungineers. They're a staple at music festivals. They have like an ice cream truck where they put on puppet shows. I'm sure you've seen them. If you've been to a music festival, EDC, anywhere, they're incredible. They're one of my I got to be in a Fungineer, which was a dream come true, but they're incredible. They put on a great show. They're a kids show for adults on acid is what they call themselves.
Cool.
So I had kind of known and gone to a couple parties, so I'd known a couple of them. So I'm full board setting up my dance floor, and it's like the last night of this Dirty Bird Campin', and they come over and they start clowning around with me, and I start playing the part, and it just the vision that I had for this dance floor kind of naturally comes into place. Whereas, I have these talented performers. Shout out Charlie Dando and Ruthie and all these other people, and McKenna, and we start like clowning around, and it's like 2 hours where they don't have a wristband to get into the dance floor, so I keep kicking them out. As I kick them out, somebody else sneaks in, so I go to kick them out. So I get frustrated. I start taking away I start unhooking the dance floor. They start putting it back together so it's this, and everybody's watching, and it's this performance. And while I'm doing that, Ruthie, who has her own, has the Instigators along with Mark subset, and she noticed me. She noticed that I had this kind of performative ability, and offered me a job working with the Instigators. Actually, I had been a referee at Dirty Bird Campout before that, but this is kind of like, this was the first time that I was actually like getting paid, getting an opportunity. I was working a festival, and again, that was kind of like another step in the journey. So anyway, I will jump back to the video now. So this Groove Cruise thing is happening, and Adrian gets me a chance to go, and I'm going to get to go. I'm going to be perform. I'm going to artist wristband, can go back. I can network. I'm going to bring my dance floor. It's great. I realized I had already told my cousin I would go to his wedding.
Oh no! Did
and
you
again,
double book?
So I didn't realize the time that it ended up being a double booking. Yeah, but this cousin was like kind of like a brother growing up. Him and I did a lot. He was 4 years younger, but I have a half brother, but he was older than me. So me and my cousin were very close, and I was very proud of him to be in the situation that he was in. So I was happy to. It wasn't even a thought to go to this thing over. It just was inconvenient timing. So I was kind of down a little bit, like, oh man, like this was going to be my networking opportunity. This was going to be
Groove Cruise.
The Groove Cruise was going to be my chance.
So what year was this?
I guess 2022 or 2023.
Okay.
Again, I'm trying to think about it. Because I don't even remember when.
So then you ended up going to your cousin's.
I ended up going back home, back where I'm from, to my cousin's wedding instead. And while I'm out there, I remember Adrian, who goes by the Suited Shuffler. He had given me this little kind of thing in the back of my head. He goes, make sure you get a video of you dancing in the suit, because he's the Suited Shuffler, and he's like, make sure you take advantage of having that. So we go back, and again, I've always been a dancer. So my family knows me as a dancer. It's just, I'm silly and I dance. So it's like, I'm a good dancer, but I'm also don't take myself so seriously that it's kind of easy to kind of go in and out of it. So we're at the wedding, and they're trying to get me to dance, and the DJ's not really playing anything. And, anything, he's playing like Get Low and like country stuff, because it's, small town Maryland. So it's country music and whatever. So finally, everybody's trying to get me to dance. I'm the dancer from LA. I went, we want to see you dance. So I tell them, I'm like, I just pick a song. I go, put this on, because I knew it was a song that everybody would know. It wouldn't be like a deep house track. So I told them, put on What Is Love, which is one of my favorite karaoke jams, because I can dance and sing while doing it. So I tell them, put on What Is Love, and we're sitting there hanging out and everything. And finally, the DJ plays the song. This is like 30 minutes after I asked for the request, and I don't know why the DJ made me wait so long. So he plays the track, and I asked my brother real quick. Again, was not planned out, wasn't anything. I asked him, hey, can you record me real quick? I just hand him my phone. I go up, and just like right as soon as I go up, the beat's about to drop, and I play to the Night at the Roxbury with the head. I play to that. And it was just one of those, like, again, natural flows. Like, it wasn't a rehearsed dance. It was just this freestyle. And I, was kind of feeling it. The other thing, the secret to, those shoes were so slippery. Like, so the whole time I'm slipping, sliding around. So it made my shuffle look buttery. Like it's borderline dangerous how slippery they were. Like, if you watch at the end of the video, the reason the video cuts off when I go like this is my foot slid. I planted my foot and it slid. So that was kind of the cutoff of how that happened.
Yeah.
But so anyway, we don't think anything of it. I look at the video the next day and I think to myself, like, it's pretty good, but I don't think of it as anything different than
anything else that you post.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that much different. It's just
and just for context, for people who are watching, you're talking about a story where you're dancing at a wedding, and this video goes viral. Like, it explodes.
It is. it is what you dream about when you think about like a viral dance video or a viral video.
If you want to be an influencer, if you want to be someone that's on Instagram and, this is the moment that you want to happen.
I know. I have friends that are influencers that have way more success than I have, that videos have not done what this video is one of those that other accounts repost weekly.
Yeah.
Like other people have gotten more views off of this video than I have.
How many views did you get on it?
So the first time I posted it, so we'll get back into it. So I'm back home and I'm like doing posts here and there. I've meeting up with friends and like doing. So while I'm at my mom's house, in Rising Sun, Maryland, I come up with this long caption, talking about being back in Maryland. When you're back home and you're a dancer from LA, they're going to ask you to dance. And I kind of have this inspirational message about blah, blah, blah.
To post for this video.
Again, not thinking anything grand, not chase. It's the original audio. It wasn't like I dubbed over audio or I didn't do anything special to make this video pop. It wasn't, the audio is the original audio with a girl screaming in the background as part of it. It wasn't edited with any kind of like editing video. It just so happened that it had different elements. Whereas there's this little girl that comes in towards the end, and it created this huge debate in the comments. It got big enough. The first time I posted, it got 24,600,000. And there's all these comments about, oh, he's what a show off. He doesn't dance with the little girl, versus other people being like, kids are so stupid. They need to get out of the way. So it just kind of created this debate about whether I should have danced with the little girl or whether whether the little girl, the parents shouldn't have let the little girl go out there in the first place. She was one of the ones that was wanting me to dance. Like she was one of the ones earlier on because they heard about it and they kind of did their own dancing. So other people are like, oh, she was mesmerized. That's kind of more what I think, is that she was like enamored by the dancing and was just watching it. You also look at, there's people in the background that are not even paying attention to me. They're just getting food. So people are paying attention to that. You'll notice it as the beat drops, they shut the light off. So it adds another like climactic. It's just all these things just managed. And it was the perfect song because it hadn't really popped. But interestingly enough, and I don't know this to be true, but you notice that song started trending like right after that. And there were a lot of Russian, Spanish, they all kind of came up with their own choreography. So it was kind of cool to see. Now I'm part of the influence for the shuffle community as opposed to being influenced by it. So it was kind of this, neat full circle moment. So anyway, I'm back home. I'm in Maryland. I have this long post and I post it. And
with no expectations.
No expectations. I post it and I kind of go use the bathroom and I come back like 10 minutes later and I look and it's got 100,000 views in 20 minutes. And all my friends are commenting on it like, oh, Danny's going viral. And it was kind of this like surreal moment. And then it stopped at 100,000, done. Just right there, it stopped. And I was like, oh, that was cool. Yeah, it's the best any video I've ever had done.
Yeah, like that performed really well.
I've had some cool videos that have, here and there. But that one was like, cool. And seeing the comments. And that's why, like, if you look and you can actually categorize the comments, you'll see like different waves of comments. Whereas 100,000 and then it went away for like 10 days, 7 to 10 days, nothing. And then.
So you thought you got to 100K and then you're like, all right, that was cool. Now moving
views.
on. Right?
That's cool. Yeah, exactly.
It didn't really change anything.
Didn't change anything. It was just whatever. And then 10 days later, boom. I mean, it exploded. It was every time I opened my phone, it was it was surreal. 100 likes,
100,000.
No, 100 as far as the notifications. I'm maxed out on likes, comments, and shares. Everything is just 100. That lasted for like a month. And it was you get to a million and you're like, oh man, I can't believe you get to, and then you're like, and I'm just refreshing and it just keeps going up. And it's this surreal moment that you always dream of. And, I probably could have capitalized on it more, but again, this isn't this thing that I was trying to do. So anyway, this thing explodes and lasts for about a month and I'm watching people aren't just liking it, they're following me. So it's not shares, follows. So 100 likes, 100 comments, 100 follows. So that's happening for a month straight. Every time I open and refresh my phone, I had 4,000 followers. All of a sudden I got 10. That was like my goal. I was like, I just kind of want to get to 10,000 and, that way I can start getting into festivals
double
for free.
digits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can start, leveraging my following to kind of get things. At least I thought that's what I wanted. Anyway, so 10,000, 20,000. Oh my, can I get to 30,000? 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. And it's just like, it's like 2 weeks in, I'm at 50,000. I'm like, you start wondering like, where is this going? Like it's surreal. So it finishes out after about a month and I have either close to, I think I get 101,000 followers off of one video.
That's crazy.
90% of my following is off of this one video in 1 month's time. And then it's like, nothing changed with me. I didn't become a better dancer. I didn't get more friends. I'm not at that point. I'm not getting deals because it's not like I had an agent that could, a manager that could do. No, I didn't do any of that
opportunities
stuff.
from that?
So here's the thing: is like, okay, so that happens. I get 100,000 followers, right? So, fast forward to. I go out to Maryland like a year and a half later, and I decide, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to post it again. Like
you repost it.
I reposted a second, and I did all the same elements. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to repost it again. We'll see. Because I had started noticing other people were reposting my dance video and getting more followers and more influence
off
than
of
I
your
was.
video.
Yeah, because they were playing the game. They were consistent. I'm not consistent. I create when I feel like it. I post when I feel like it. I'm incredibly critical of my own stuff. So stuff that other people, I don't know because I don't post it because I post what I think is good. Anyway, so I start, everybody else is posting this and I'm watching people post my video and getting 200,000 followers off my video, and I'm sitting here at 100,000. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to just repost it. So I go back to Maryland.
You got the original one.
I got the original one. So I go back to Maryland. I come up with this long, thoughtful post basically saying how everybody hopes for this viral moment and that explodes. But what do you do with it once you have it? My caption was, nothing has changed. Like my DMs aren't filled with opportunities. I'm not like, yeah, the thing that changed is the validation. When I introduce myself now, and either people might know me from the video, or if they get my Instagram, they're like, oh, you're somebody. Like it validates me as a dancer instead of me saying I'm a dancer and then them pulling up 200 followers. It doesn't mean they're less of a dancer, by the way, but pulling up 200 followers and people looking at that as this, it's your online resume.
Yeah.
So it's like that validates me as a legitimate dancer because I have that many followers. So anyway, go back to Maryland and I repost it. I come up with the, virality hasn't changed me. I'm still the same person. And I repost it so here's the thing. I repost it at my mom's house again. So I'm on the same IP network that I was before. So I tried to do as many of the same elements. I posted the same video, didn't edit anything, it explodes right away. Again. Blows up again. This time, this one doubled the first one.
No.
This one got 43, 44 million views.
Bro, what? Okay, because I remember seeing that video. But now I didn't know you reposted it. So I'm not sure.
I reposted it 3 times.
Oh, wow. Okay,
each time I went back to Maryland, it got this past one several million. I don't know exactly. I mean, not to sound blasé about that, but several
compared
million.
To 40 million?
Yeah. Well, again,
the second time you posted
it? So the second time I posted it, and that rounded me out to, we joked about it, that gave me another 100,000. So now I've got 200,000 followers just from reposting the same video.
One video.
From one moment. From one moment that was not the moment I was looking for.
Yeah.
I thought the moment was going to be when I was on Groove Cruise dancing for a celebrity instead of being at my cousin's wedding dancing in a small town that with a wedding of like 50 people in this banquet hall in this small podunk town that I'm from. And all of a sudden that's the thing. Cause again, the thing I'm noticing is it's authenticity that people want. It's, there are people who do the trends and they do the thing on a regular basis. And there are people that like that. But then there are people who it doesn't they start to resent it. I don't know why. It's almost like an influencer in the wild where they feel kind of cringy at that moment. It happens for my videos too, but it's this thing where it resonated with people. So yeah, I posted again. And again, I reserve the right to post it again.
Yeah.
Because
you can post that same video as much as you want.
Every time I go back to Maryland, I just have another story to tell. I have to have a long caption and a story to tell, and I got to post it while I'm at Maryland. But here's the thing is, there is this like, I can see all the people who repost it now. Before, I used to get no credit. So I've seen so many people that give me no credit and people will send it to me. And, it's kind of the name of the game on Instagram. You resent them for a while and then you learn you can't do anything about it.
Once it's out there, it's kind of free game.
And for what it's worth, I also kind of look at it as you're promoting me too. Whether or not they know it's me, they're going to find, somebody's not doing what I'm doing, so they're going to have to find me if they want, they can keep reposting the video.
Face, it's your dance moves. Like, it's you. They're definitely promoting you.
And if 100,000 people see that, somebody's going to recognize me and tag me. Right. And so.
Or someone that might not even know who you are. I mean, but like, who is this guy? Like, I want to see like more of him.
So I start noticing those people coming to me because they start telling me where they saw me from. Mm-hmm. And there's all of a sudden this phenomenon where I start realizing, not that I'm famous, but I'm known in the community now. Now I'm Dapper Danny. You're the guy from the wedding video. I'm also now known as the Liverpool guy because there's apparently this Liverpool page that whenever they win,
the soccer team,
Liverpool, they'll post every time they win, they post my video and say by how many goals they won by. They just keep
wedding video?
They just keep reposting that video. Each time it's getting 200,000, 300,000 views, 1 million views. So it's like, really, I could be a page where I just keep reposting that and I could have so many more followers. But again, I worry about the people that are on my page that would just get annoyed with that. Yeah. So that's not what I want to do. I even, I've got a guy that I was looking at about possibly managing me and like taking it a little bit more seriously. But again, for me, dancing, it's these ebbs and flows. Sometimes you can't stop me from dancing, but sometimes it's like going through the motions. And, I guess I'm good enough now where you can't tell if I'm going through the motions or not. But when I'm not going through the motions, you can feel it. Like it's again, that like that wedding video, it's something that resonated with people. But yeah, so it's
so now you've posted it 3 times collectively with these 3 posts. How many views do you think it has? Over 100 million?
Just on my page alone, it's at about 75 million. But when I look at everywhere it's been, it's well over 100. I mean, because the part that is it's really big in other countries. It's not as big in the Russia. It's got a big following. Most of my followers that aren't from the United States are from Brazil. And the funny thing is like Brazil is one of my biggest influences. Like I've been studying the Brazilian dance styles, the passinho and the sarinho and the abrigato or however they pronounce it. Cause again, I got to work on my Portuguese, but I've been heavily influenced because they have this real saucy kind of swaggy style. So a lot of my moves look like this. So that's why I think they resonate with me. So that's the plan. That's the other breaking news is I'm trying to get to Brazil sometime this year.
Let's go. Dude, breaking news, man. You're just dropping breaking news right now. Let's talk about your first breaking news. Where are you moving?
So I've been in LA now for 5 years and I've lived with the same people. This is the most stability I think I've ever had in my life as far as I used to move place to place to place to place. Well, I've been 5 years with Adrian and Journey and now we have a roommate Jess and we were not just roommates, we were best friends. We would go out and hang out and do all these things, but situations change. Adrian just moved out recently with his girlfriend Mila and he's still close and we're still close friends and stuff, but things are kind of, you can feel the energy moving in a different direction. I've kind of just let the universe put me where it puts me. And right now I've had this job opportunity to go back home from my brother and
Maryland.
to Maryland. Yeah. Well, I mean, within the Maryland area,
Okay.
I can, because I'd be working for Amtrak.
Okay.
So I'd be an electrician for Amtrak. And again, this is just what the plan is right now.
Sure.
But go back home and as I'm getting older, like I said, I'm 38. So this is a career that I can invest in, something that I can do long term, union job, great pensions, 6-figure income, stability and all that good stuff. Plus, it's kind of a full circle moment if you think about it. I've been out in California now for 19 years.
Long time.
I moved out to California when I was 19 years old. So my mom's like, "Oh, I'll drive back with you. It'll be a full circle moment. You can sleep in the passenger seat." And yeah. But yeah, so it's kind of like it feels, I always said if I was going to settle down, I would settle down in a small town or kind of back home, you know, if I'm going to settle down, have a wife, kids, all that kind of stuff. The stuff you think about, 38's a little old, being an adult and having adult thing. I've been kind of just, and I still could happily playing along and just going out and I'm responsible. I've got money saved. I'm doing all right for myself. But at the same time, looking at the next step, looking at the economy, looking at all these things, and I realize, well, I can go back home and buy a house. My priorities are shifting. I don't really go out to the nightclubs anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm not staying out late. A lot of the things that were keeping me in LA, I always used to say, if you live next to the beach and you don't go, you're wasting your money. And I don't go to the beach as often as I used to. So my priorities are shifting. So I have this job opportunity that's been sitting there and I'm going to kind of look into it. And, I might live in DC. I might live in Pennsylvania. I might live I have all these, I just have to be in the Del Mar area. And the DMV is where I need to be. Because since I'm working for Amtrak, now I have free train rides. So instead of me because I'm going to miss California.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to miss California.
I haven't even left and I already miss Cali. Like the weather is one thing, the community, it's just, there's an energy in LA that feels, when I tell people I live in LA, they're like, because they don't understand. They see what they see on TV and they don't. When you find your community in LA, there's nothing better. Like if I didn't find my community and I was just in LA on business and I didn't know anybody, I could understand hating LA. There's a lot of aggression. Yeah. There's a lot of inconsideration. There's a lot of bad politics. There's so many things you could complain about. But when you find your community and you feel a purpose, a part of something, again, California is just as much a part of me as Maryland is at this point. And yeah, the early part was in Maryland, but California allowed me to find myself. Maryland, molded me into, I think being from a small town, it makes you kind of appreciate and look at things differently. Yeah. Not better or worse, just the adversities you face, going from driving a 5-speed Chevy Cavalier all the way across the country with no AC to driving Lamborghinis and performing on stage and doing all, being a professional shuffler in LA.
And going viral and being the Liverpool guy now.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's crazy, man. You've done so much and you've accomplished so much being here in LA. And just because you decided to move out here. And like you said, now it's full circle. Mm-hmm. Going back to Maryland and, pursuing this new career, this new thing that you want to do now.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense for the time. Because again, the roommates are kind of moving on and doing their own thing. Gotcha. We're all kind of growing up and growing into different people. And, the nice thing is I've got no strings attached. Like, even though I've built this life in California, I'm not signed into a lease that I can't get out of. I don't have this car payment. I don't have a baby mama. I don't have like any of these things that are keeping me, even a pet. Like, I don't have a pet that's preventing me from like, oh, it's a sick pet. I can't move until I figure out the situation. Like, there's none of those situations that I have. So I'm kind of free. And with that being said, I'm definitely moving from LA, but while it looks like Maryland, I'm hoping that Austin comes in and
Texas.
So Austin, I would put in the same category as California for, Orange County was for me. I've never been there, but there's this energy that's drawing me there. I talk about doing stand-up and
Austin, Texas is the spot.
You don't have to tell me. I've been.
I love Austin. I tell Austin. I have one of my best friends lives in Austin. I've been there. That was the first place I was actually going to move before moving to LA. When I moved to LA, but Austin, that would be a great choice.
So, and again, that's the feedback that I've been getting. I have friends there. You know, Sierra is there, and she speaks. So, you know, it's kind of. I think Corpus Christi is her hometown. But anyway, that's her area. That's her spots where she lives, and you know, she has her own shuffle studio out there. Everything everybody tells me about it, it speaks to me. It's kind of like the creativity of LA, but the neighborliness of Texas. So it's like it's the blend of the two places that I've already been. So I haven't been there yet, but I'm planning on going out there and doing a Kill Tony trip and
bro, when are you? I love Kill Tony.
That's like I
when are you
watch
gonna
it
go?
all the time. I haven't figured out the date, but I'm going to talk with Sierra and figure that out.
Sign up?
And I'm going to absolutely. That the thing is, it's going to force me to, you know, curate a minute and come.
Hell of a good minute.
The interview I feel pretty comfortable with.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like you crushed the interview. I think you have like the right look. You're like super charismatic on the mic.
I know I'd be nervous and all that stuff, but I know I'd play along with them and I'd allow them to make fun of me and call me like a
you can even bust a few moves on there.
Well, I'm sure it would get. I'm sure. Well, is there anything interesting about you? Tell us something. You know, it's easy to kind of transition.
Play some music, and then
and then again, Red Band's going to check me, and that's where the platform.
I love that you love Kill Tony and that you love comedy like that.
Again, comedy is I know, you know the Stavros who's from Maryland is Shane Gillis. Like, there's so many of these comedians that I love and watch. Bill Burr and like, you know, all these people that I've kind of grown up with. I've grown up watching Comedy Central Presents. Again, you know, this would be a cool beginning of talking about being a comedian. And then now that I've shot my mouth off about it, now I got to put in the work and actually become and do the thing. But yeah, Austin is kind of this place that, because, you know, I'm planning on moving sometime in the summer.
Okay, so you'll be here for a few more months then?
Yeah. Cool. I still got some time. You know, at least until July is kind of like the time frame that I'm looking at before I go back. But you know, I definitely want to kind of the idea is that's where I want to go. That's the smart thing for me to do is go back, settle down again. I grew up riding dirt bikes and four-wheelers in a small town, and I kind of want to get back to that. Just going out into nature, buying toys, get myself, you know, because I got a better job and I'm paying less money, affording a house.
It seems like the right choice.
It's the right choice. Again, being 38, if I was 25, it'd be like, no, I lived my LA life. And you know what? The thing is it's not like I can't come back.
It's true.
Just like home. I could have always gone back home. And now is the time that I am.
You have tons of friends here. You can come visit.
I might pivot
for a weekend.
I might pivot and start teaching English in Thailand. Who knows? Like the great thing about having freedom is, and being stable enough that, you know, I'm not in debt. I don't have any of these, like, you know, I'm not wanted for anything. Like, I don't have to like screen my face to be on here. Like, it feels good to be so free to kind of go and do whatever I want. But, you know, that's the double-edged sword of being free and having every opportunity is you got to pick one. And I'm kind of passive, whereas I just kind of let the things come to me. So far it's worked out for me. I've kind of, you know, it's taken me in the direction that I want to be. You know, this wasn't the dream. It's just kind of how it happened.
And it feels like things are just kind of happening in your life now, and you're just going with it.
Yeah. And I mean, I probably self-sabotage some opportunities in the way of like, could I, you know, I could do sponsorships and make money again. You know, there was the thought for a second there that I was going to let somebody kind of take over my account and start marketing me and start reposting videos and try to grow my page. But like, Instagram is this kind of, again, double-edged sword for me, whereas I love it. It's allowed me to, so many of my friends that I've made, I met through social media ahead of time. But it's the connection that you feel also is the disconnect that you feel from the reality that's around you. So it's this double-edged sword where, you know, like, I don't always open up Instagram. If you leave me a message and I don't respond for 2 days, that's because I'm trying to give myself a little breath from Instagram because, I feel the same things that everybody else does. Having a following doesn't make it any different for me. It just changes people's response when they check my Instagram.
Yeah. Wow, man. Well, a lot of breaking news, and dude, we're going to miss you here. We're going to miss you in LA. We're going to miss your dance moves because you're going to take those with you. I'm sure you're going to continue creating content out there. Your dancing videos. I'm sure they're going to pop up. I'm going to see them all the time. I'm sure, right?
And again,
you're not retiring.
I will do what feels right to me. It's like setting up the dance floor. We keep kind of talking about the dance floor. I bring it out to festivals all the time. It's flown all over the country. I've taken it to Electric Forest. I've taken it to Campin. I've taken it to LIB. I've taken it to Desert Hearts, Dirty Bird Camp, all these places festivals I've taken it. And I've taken it before and never even set it up because it's like depending on a vibe.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's a feeling. That's the way I dance, the way I do everything is based off of a feeling, not a jukebox schedule. Like you put in the coin and you wait for it to happen. There's an element to it some here and there, but with the dance floor, it's a vibe. And it's, so that's kind of where I go with everything. Who knows? Maybe something will happen before July. I'm still waiting. I'm still kind of hoping that LA, like something's like.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that you might?
So the opportunity with going back to Maryland is just because that's the way it feels like it feels like it's the right thing to do.
But there might be another opportunity.
Right now that's the plan. Yeah. But if I take a trip to Austin and fall in love with Austin and can figure out a way to make that work out there, maybe that's home. If I insert way, my sister is about to move to Spain. Remember how I told you she's always trying to get away and, so maybe that's the next step is her moving to Spain. I move out there. She kicks me out. I make friends. And all of a sudden the next story is told in Espanol. España.
Next podcast you're going to be doing will be in Spanish in Spain.
Truthfully, if I had my pick, again, Brazil. Like the people of Brazil, I love your style, and I'll be out there soon. I'm gonna learn. I can't wait to do a backyard passinho party with the Brazilian people and
a little vibe out.
It's just again, there's something. Obviously, the women are beautiful, but like just the energy. When I worked at the Montage, they had this. They had these like exchange student kind of things where they came out from Brazil, and I just remember even then, beautiful girls and everything, but they just had this like energy that is different than America, like similar but different. They're a little more friendly, a little more outgoing, a little more sexy. I don't know, like all the things that spicy. There's just there's something that draws me to Brazil, and I feel like they resonate with me. Like following there. So that's also breaking news is I will be going to Brazil. Nice. I think we already broke that.
Yeah.
The Brazil is on the list. Possibly before when I move to Maryland, possibly before I settle down and start like the new career. I'm whether it's a solo trip, I'm trying to scare myself and take a solo trip, but also if somebody wants to go, maybe we can, maybe I can convince like a Kento baby or something to come out there and teach some classes or something.
That would be awesome. Teaching classes. Would you ever teach any classes?
I've taught one before, but I am a teacher. So again, the job that I do doing, being in the Geek Squad and kind of helping people, hooking up audio, video equipment. I teach people how to use technology, and I get a lot of validation that I'm a really good teacher because I find analogies to allow people to understand what they're doing. It's like, this is like this. And you might have to throw 5 different examples out to do it. So I want to teach, but I've been able to find that I'm much better one-on-one than I am maybe teaching to a class.
Yeah.
But I think it's just something I have to do to refine, because the one class that I taught, everybody that took the class said they had a lot of fun, but I was kind of self-conscious about, I think it should have been better. And I want to refine it, but I have been kind of inspired. I get a lot of comments and I see a lot of interest in learning, like, again, it was just a freestyle, but learning my wedding video choreo and teaching that.
Oh, wow. That would be interesting.
So I might maybe learn that here in the near future, go to Austin to Sierra's studio and teach it there and fall in love with
make that
Austin
an actual choreo. Like,
yeah, so that's the thing, is that I want to learn my own freestyle and then teach it as a choreo. And also I just kind of want to teach. So many people teach shuffling, but nobody really teaches bounce and flow, which is where my style comes in. You know, I don't want to teach Melbourne shuffling, Cali style, Moss. Those are all cutting shapes. Those are all influences to me, but I don't want to put a name on it. I want to teach my style, because then I don't have to worry about anybody telling me whether I'm good enough to teach this style, or whether I've put in enough time to learn this style, or whether, you know, again, you're never going to stop the negative comments, but I feel comfortable teaching my style because it's my style. I don't have to put a label on it other than influenced by this, influenced by that. But there's a demand out there. I see there's so many people, even you, I see the way you light up when something unlocks for you and you start feeling more comfortable. There's this dancing is almost better for you than working out. Like, I saw this study recently and it was talking about 20 minutes a day of dancing is the equivalent of long distance runners and people who work out, like do strength training, because you're getting the cardio, you're getting the plyometrics of the bouncing up and down, you're getting the enjoyment of music is this universal language. To me, my religion is energies and frequencies. You feel the vibrations, you feel it makes sense with science, it makes sense with my intuition. It explains a lot of the things that are around me. And music are these frequencies and vibrations that change us in a molecular way. Like, you see the way that water moves when you put a different frequency to it. That's how you can understand why people spend hundreds and thousands of dollars going to these music festivals to listen to a song that they could listen to in their car stereo. It makes sense because everybody is tuned into the same frequency. Everybody's on the same vibe. And that's why I love house music. I used to go to hip hop shows and classic rock shows. Everybody just stands there and observes the music. When you go to a house show, you're part of the energy. I went on Saturday to my buddy's party. Everybody's smiling and being weird and dancing, and like, you know, there's some cool kids there. You know, we all go through our phase, but then you see people just being ridiculous, and it makes you smile because they're not worried about whether you're looking at them and acknowledging them. They're just being silly with their friends. They're just feeling the music. And that's where, again, what drew me to the scene and what brought me up to LA was that kind of energy.
Yeah.
So I do want to teach. But like comedy, I want to put in, I need to put in the work to become proficient to where I feel comfortable enough to do it. I don't want to half-ass it. I don't want to just do a money grab. You see people that kind of get notoriety or they get some fame and then they go to teach a class, but they haven't put in the time to be a teacher. Yeah, they might know how to dance, but do you know how to teach?
Yeah.
It's completely different things.
Oh, 100%.
I know
Two completely different.
I know so many dancers that I love and respect that I've seen teach classes, and they know how to dance, but they don't know how to tell people to do it. They don't know how to command a room. They don't know how to get focused so that, you know, people are spending $20, $30 for your class and they're not learning a damn thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be one of those people that crosses my arms and tell them that's not shuffling. I respect you because you got people to show up to your class. But I look at people like, again, Kento Baby, and I look at Sierra. Those two to me are, and Shoj, again, you know, he just had a baby, so he's got different priorities. But I look at these people who don't just talk about it. They are pillars in the community. Kento Baby is an international shuffle teacher that I think is as good as anybody out there. Mm-hmm. He knows every style. He can tell you how and break down and why he's doing it. The bro, he schedules his naps. He's so organized, so talented. Just nothing but respect for him.
Yeah, and he's one of the ones I've gone. One of the first classes I've gone to is one of Kento classes.
He's one of those people that makes you feel welcome to shuffle. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Instead of like feeling like you have to be good enough. Yeah. He lets you know that, you know, he allows you to tap into whatever your purpose is to dancing. And then the other person I look at is Sierra, out in Austin. she just opened up her own studio the way Mary Grace did, you know, where we're kind of where we're at. And her, like, you know, I put Mary Grace in the same category too. But again, we look at styles that I kind of resonate with. And Sierra is as good a teacher as Kento is, a little different style. But she is just as good at Melbourne shuffling as she is at shaping, the same way that Kento is. So there is nobody more qualified, I think, than both of them. And the openness, the way that they treat everybody with respect and kindness, those are the pillars of, you know, true ambassadors of the shuffle community, people I truly respect and honor and look up to. And they set a standard that I would like to be to. There's a lot of other dancers that maybe, you know, have their own jealousy or their own feelings towards them and about whether they're qualified, whether they need an accreditation to teach classes. But at the end of the day, they both lead with love and passion. They both are students of the community and culture, students of the culture where they've looked it up and they know the history, but also pillars in the community where they're getting out there. You know, Sierra's a performer. She, you know, same thing with Kento. We go and you realize that there's this market for shuffling. Whether you know what it is or not, it's intriguing to you.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, it's a beautiful thing. I pay so much respect to shuffling. And it allowed me to kind of, again, find myself and turn in, you know, and then, you know, with the Dapper Danny thing, there's an element of fashion there, but shuffling was kind of integral in that, where it was festival fashion and shuffling created my identity, or the version of myself that I saw. Yeah.
The person you are now.
Yeah. And I'm still evolving.
For sure.
There's a, you know, I'm probably about to have to, you know, sell a lot of my clothing because, you know, whereas maybe I had a SpongeBob shirt on 2 years ago, maybe whereas I had a brightly, you know, I'm a little more casual toned, and I still got those outfits. I'll still break them out every now and again, but you know, that's the other style too, is as I'm getting older, you know, you look at a lot of these people that have been in the community and you grow in and you grow out of it. There's some of my favorite dancers don't dance anymore. You know, they grew into different directions. They might still knock the rust off here and there. And it's great to see the influence. You can kind of bring them out, you know? And it's just, everybody is influencing everybody. That's why the best way to get better at shuffling is find your community. That's the number one advice I can give to you. It's not anything other than, if you live in a small town, it's going to be harder, but find other people that shuffle, or get your friends interested to where they're doing it too, because then you have an accountability buddy. Yeah. You got somebody that you don't feel like dancing and they're like, come over and dance. And then they'll inspire you to dance, or you'll inspire them to dance when they're not feeling about it. They'll learn a new move and teach it to you. You'll learn a new move and teach it to them. It is this collective. And now that you have Instagram, you can have that small community, and then you can travel to LA or travel to New York or travel to Florida or travel to Texas, you know, Chicago, these places that have established shuffle communities, San Diego, Denver. You know, there's so many pockets, Arizona, there's so many pockets that you can go all over the country, where North Carolina, there's legitimate shufflers and there's a scene that is growing. And it's about, you know, you're close enough to one of those places. Let's say you're in Montana and there's not much of a scene out there. You're not too far away from Denver. You're not too far away from, you know, the Chicago and all these other places. You can travel if you're passionate about it. If you want to learn, start on Instagram and then find your community. And even if you don't have a viral video, it will make you so happy. For me, I dance from a place of happiness, a place of joy. I have friends that dance from a place of pain and sadness, and like Donovan, you know, Fogchild. Donovan, one of my favorite shufflers, one of the most incredible dancers. Him and I dance from different places. He is this incredible, he can touch into these emotions and almost make you cry because he's crying as he's dancing. And that's where he finds that passion, that authenticity from, is he dances from this place of pain. He still dances from joy too, but I don't have that the same way that he does. Again, I'm this Labrador that's this yellow lab that's, you know, bouncing around and having fun. And I dance from this place of joy and it keeps you young. I look at some of the people I grew up with and they look about 15 years older than I do. And it's not a brag. It's just, you know, it keeps you healthy. It keeps you young. It keeps you active. It keeps you social. It relieves stress. Dancing for me is a vent. Mm-hmm. I mean, when, you know, beach volleyball was real good at keeping me tan and fit. And that was probably the most fit that I was. So I might have to go back a little bit to that now that I think about it. It's still a passion. It's still like, but dancing became so much, I felt the community more there. I love Laguna Beach, main beach volleyball. Like there's guys that have been playing there for 30, 40 years that I go down and like, I'm part of that community. I love them. Those are the homies, you know? But again, you know, I can still go down there and all those things, but the dancing, finally being around dancers, I felt, you know, you asked, is that home? Being around dancers is home.
Yeah. Dude, I love this. I'm so glad that you came in here and told your story, man. Like, you know, because we didn't really know each other this much.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen you around. And I thought it'd be great for you to come in here and just kind of tell us your story. Because, you know, every time I see you, I always learn something from you when I'm out and, you know, with the shuffling community, wherever I see you. Like, I always feel like I get something from you when I'm out there. Like, I could ask you something and then you could like tell me and teach me how to do certain moves. And I always really appreciate that because that's really cool because I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to get better as well. So I've always really appreciated that. So I want to thank you for coming on the podcast and to the studio. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I'm sure the universe is going to take you where you want to be, man.
We're both striving to be the best versions of ourselves, and we're getting there.
Yes.
We're getting there. As
100%.
As long as we keep pushing forward, universe will put us where we're supposed to be.
Yes.
Universe, God, Yahweh, whatever you want to call it. Whatever the frequencies and vibrations and energies and all that stuff. Yeah. Again, like I said, vibrations you can feel when somebody walks into a room, you feel their presence, you feel the vibration, the energy that they bring in. Then you have frequencies and it's being in tune like a radio station. It's dialed in. I'm feeling like pizza today. No way I was feeling like pizza. You get tuned into those same frequencies. And then, like I said, you quantify that and talk about music and all those. That's how we're all connected, man. Energies and frequencies or God. That's my guy.
Yeah, that's true. So where can people find you if they want to find your crazy viral video? I'm sure they've already seen it before.
If they haven't, I'm sure they can either go onto the Liverpool page and find it there. There's plenty other places to find it. It's the main thing is like, the funny thing is like how far it's, anyway, Dapper Danny, Dappr Danny.
Give this guy a follow, man.
No E. And unless you can talk to the actual Dapper Danny on Instagram, he's got like 400 to 600 followers, but he ignored me when I tried to get it. But
really,
that's okay. It's all you know. The universe works its own way. I'm not really willing to pay for it. I'm still, you know. But yeah. So Facebook. So many people have been like, my parents sent me this video. So that's like the second level. There's like all these different levels of the outreach of the video. Is some of it is, you know, what I saw, the hundreds of millions that I saw on Instagram, but then there's people who posted on YouTube and then came over and I noticed you
just
from
all
YouTube.
Platforms.
Yeah, exactly. Facebook, I don't even know how many views it's been on there. But that's, my mom's out here visiting me from Maryland and her roommate's in a dentist's office chair. And it's like, oh yeah, my roommate's back home visiting her son. He's a shuffler out in LA. And she goes, "It's Dapper Danny?" What? At a dentist office in random Maryland town out into to, you know, it's cool. I'm not famous, but in a certain pocket, I'm known. Yeah. You know,
you're a big fish in a small pond when you go back home.
And honestly, it's just just like the second time I reposted the video. Nothing changes. I'm still, it's not like people open doors for me that they didn't before. It's not like, I mean, this time I did go to Groove Cruise this past time.
Hell
and I got to go for free because I had enough of a following now. So again, that's full circle. Full circle in its own. I had a blast.
And the reason you didn't go last time was because you had to go to that wedding where your video went viral.
There is no good or bad news. There is just what happens and how you respond to it. You know, it might seem like it's bad news. Like, man, oh man, there was a disappointment there. It's like, oh man, I can't believe I got to go to Maryland at the same time. I was going to get this free festival. I was going to have artist wristbands. I was going to do all this stuff. And it's like, no, that wasn't what you were supposed to do. So that's why like this next move, whatever, you know, it's looking like Maryland or at least the DMV area, but we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, you can have all the plans in the world, but life in the universe is going to put you where you're supposed to be. And it's up to you to figure out how to be comfortable there.
It's true. What a great way to end it. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.